Hey, what's going on, Nova Nation? It's CJ Wilson here with another episode of Doak Talk. Here we got our, we're finally back on schedule as far as game week. We had a bye week last week for FSU, so it's time to go behind enemy lines a little bit. And this week's guest, we have Andy Bitter, the lead football beat writer for Tech Sideline, that covers our Virginia Tech. Andy, how's it going?
It's going pretty good. How you doing?
Pretty good, pretty good. Great to have you on. I was doing my research in regards to Virginia Tech football, and your name started popping up a lot. So I figured I'd reach out and try to bring you on.
Well, I've covered it for enough outlets now. This is the fourth different outlet that I've covered it for. So I guess you stick around long enough, you get to cover it for everybody.
All right, that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. All right, and let's go ahead and jump right into it. You got Virginia Tech Hokies coming down to Tallahassee. Let's talk about Virginia Tech a little bit. Averaging 25 points per game. Let's talk about the quarterback situation because a lot of people, I guess, the quarterback changed rather because Grant Wells started the season out at quarterback. Then there was a switch to Kyron Drones, who he brought a lot of life to the team. Let's talk about that, I guess, switch and what kind of went into that decision with for Virginia Tech.
Well, Wells got hurt, midway through that Purdue game, right before halftime, got his ankle rolled up on. So he's got a lower body injury and just has not been able to move very well. They went into the season saying they were going to play two quarterbacks and have a split, and they didn't really do it very well those first couple games. It was sort of a mix and match for one drive against Old Dominion, and then against Purdue, it was all Wells up until that point. And then, they finally in the second half determined that he couldn't go anymore, and they put Kyron Drones in for one drive at the very end when he's 91 yards away from the end zone, needing to tie the game up. Like, welcome to the show. That's your opportunity. So he started straight games now. Drones has, and he feels like he's improving with reps. Every time he's out there, I think he's doing a little bit better. It really starred against Pitt, was the ACC quarterback of the week, counted for 5 touchdowns, which doesn't happen here a whole lot. We went back, I think it's like 7 or 8 times in the last 25 years where a quarterback has accounted for 5 touchdowns. So he really is a dual threat guy that comes out there and can stress a defense in a number of ways. And didn't play a whole lot at Baylor, came here to get that opportunity. I think he does get better with each snap he takes.
Speaking of Jones, let's talk about the offense. Virginia Tech has been running with him because he had 22 carries against Rutgers, 15 against Marshall, and 21 against Pittsburgh. We kind of talked about a little bit pre-show in regards to the carries he's been getting. What's the thought process behind that, and why is he carrying the ball so much? And just I guess how big he is within the running game.
Well, he's sort of a big guy at quarterback. I mean, he's not this overwhelming presence, but I mean, he's 6'2", 6'3", 230 pounds. Like he's a load to bring down. And quite frankly, they needed something to jumpstart this running game. It was lousy early in the season. They played Purdue, which isn't the Iron Curtain defense out there. Purdue held them to 11 rushing yards. And Virginia Tech was in the red up until the very end. Kyron Drones had a 12-yard scramble on that last drive to get them back in positive yardage. So there just was really, the offensive line has struggled just to run the ball in the traditional way. They weren't really able to do that. So you put Drones in there, all of a sudden it's another person the defense has to worry about. You go out there, it's another hat that they have to worry about. He can keep it, and defenses actually have to respect the keeper when he does keep it. So I think it's really gotten the running game going. You've seen that the last couple of weeks. I mean, they ran for 6.1 yards a carry against Marshall. They just didn't run it very much. They stopped for some reason. Didn't run it as well against Pitt, but they were persistent on the ground against them. Ran it 59 times, and Drones is a big part of that. And he's something that a defense is going to have to account for, and they can actually move the ball a little bit on the ground now.
And then you have Bayshaw Tootin, the transfer from North Carolina A&T. How has he, been adjusting coming from the HBCU ranks to the P5 and ACC football? How has he, in your opinion, how has he been adjusting to the speed of the game and things like that?
I think he's adjusting great. I think he's their best offensive weapon, outside of maybe Drones, and as he continues to develop. He put up like 100 yards in the game against Duke last year. So it's not like he hasn't done this against ACC competition before. Again, earlier this year, not great blocking, not a lot of opportunities. I think he only had 9 carries in that Marshall game, even though he was averaging 8.8 yards a carry. Like, he was doing really well, and they just didn't keep going to him for some reason. Last game they finally went to him. He hit 100 yards. He had 28 touches, his season high for the Hokies, and I would imagine he's going to get a heaping helping of a workload against Florida State too, because he's a tough guy to bring down. He broke 10 tackles against Pittsburgh. I think he had somewhere in that same neighborhood against ODU in the opener. He's just not a guy that the first tackler necessarily gets him on the ground. Now, there hasn't been huge holes, and there's been a tackler right behind him who has gotten him on the ground after that. That's been sort of part of the problem there. But he's a tough runner and a tough guy to get up to tackle.
So you think the game plan coming into this FSU game be run the ball, right?
I think it has to be. I mean, you're not going to win a shootout with the Seminoles. That's just not a game that's not a game plan that the Hokies want to have going down there. I think if they could do it, it would look a lot like the Pitt game, where they possessed the ball for 38 minutes. They ran it 59 times. You know, they weren't running through Pitt, but they were persistent with it and did it over and over, sustained some drives. I think that's their best chance to stay competitive in this one. Because I can see how Florida State can light it up in an instant when they have the ball. So the best way to do it is just keep the ball out of their hands and hope that they don't hit on some big plays.
Let's talk about the receivers a little bit. You have Daquan Felton, the 6'5" senior, big body guy. What do you guys have within the receiver room?
Yeah, it's interesting because they brought in three big receivers in the offseason. Ollie Jennings from ODU, Jalen Lane from Middle Tennessee, and Daquan Felton from Norfolk State. I mean, that was a complete reshaping of that receiver room that last year was frankly pretty bad. They had Caleb Smith and not really anybody else as options in that room. And they thought they were going to have this big three this year. And then, second game, Ollie Jennings, Jalen Lane catches the ball, gets tackled into the back of Ollie Jennings' leg, uh, you know, injures his ankle. He's had surgery. He's on crutches right now. They don't know how long he's going to be out, possibly for the year. And it kind of set back that group. I mean, that was something that they were really excited about, that group and the kind of weapons they had. And all of a sudden you lose your lead guy. And then Jalen Lane, tweaks a hamstring. He misses the Rutgers game. Doesn't look quite like himself against Marshall. So it was really down to Felton for a while of the newcomers. And he's been all right. He caught a deep ball early against Pitt, the sort of jump started the offense there, but it hasn't quite been what they thought that receivers room could be, just because the personnel has not been out there. Now, Lane has come back, and he's healthy now. He had a long touchdown against Pitt. Felton continues to progress. They have some other guys in that room. Stephen Gosnell, I think, is a reliable guy that she'll get more targets now with Ali Jennings on the mend here. But it's not quite as deep of a group as they thought they might have at the beginning of the year, and not quite as many offensive weapons.
Let's talk about the offensive line for a second. One of FSU's strengths on the team is the defensive line, defensive tackles, and defensive end, and Jared Verse. Let's talk about the offensive line in regards to Virginia Tech and the mentality that they carry. What type of mentality that Brent Pry, a year or two trying to steal within his unit.
Yeah, I think they'd like to be sort of a pound the ball type team. Get behind their pads and run it, really establish their authority up front. I don't know if they have the personnel for that. I think that's the weakest part of this team. Not a ton of experience there. They had two returning starters, one Caden Moore moving from right guard to center. So he's got a position change he's navigating as well. But you have two redshirt freshman starters on the left-hand side, Xavier Chaplin and Braylon Moore, Caden's brother. Just haven't played a lot of snaps. Not a lot of a wealth of experience that they can go to on the bench as well. So that has been a struggle to move opposing defenses, off the line. I think Pitt had 12 tackles for a loss last week. Your offensive line isn't exactly hitting on all cylinders if that's the case. Now, they played better in that game, and Tech found some ways to run the ball. They got it outside a little bit more misdirection, but they have a tough time just lining up and going straight at you. I think that's not going to be the strength. They have to be a little bit smoke and mirrors with this offense, a lot of misdirection, screens to keep the defense pass rush at bay. Because if they don't, Drones is going to be a sitting duck back there, and a lot of Florida State pressures are going to get through and get in his face.
I'll switch over to the defense, and it's funny because the defensive coordinator for Virginia Tech is Chris Marv. Chris Marv is the former linebackers coach at FSU that Mike Norvell brought in from. I want to say he was at Vanderbilt or Mississippi State at the time. I forget which one. But let's speak about Chris Marv and the mentality he's trying to bring within his defense. As being year two as the defensive coordinator for the Virginia Tech Hokies.
Yeah, well, it's year two, but it's really year one as a play caller. Brent Pry, he brought Marv on as a first time coordinator to kind of show him the ropes along the way. Pry called the plays for most of last year until the Liberty game, what turned out to be the season finale last season, which was actually one of their better defensive performances. So, Marv did pretty well right away. I think it's been a learning process for him, taking over sole play calling duties of that side of the ball. I don't think the run fits have been very good on that side of the defense as you look at the rushing defense numbers that the Hokies have had so far. But he's an energetic, bright young coach. I think Brett Price sees a lot of promise in him, and kind of wanted to bring him along and show him the ropes because when he went back to when he was a young defensive coordinator, he's like, there's a lot of mistakes I made along the way that I wish there was somebody that sort of would have those guardrails that helped me along with that. So I think that's what he wanted to do when he brought him in. When he hired Marv, he was 32 years old, hadn't been a coordinator before. So I think a lot of molding there, and then I think he's starting to take off on his own here.
And speaking of Marv, his position group is linebacker. You guys have a hell of a linebacker in Kelly Lawson. He's been making tackles left and right. I'm close to 50 tackles on the year within 5 games. But speak about Kelly in that linebacker room. I think you guys have another linebacker that's pretty good as well, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, it's sort of been a rotating crew. They've settled recently on Alan Tisdale, who's a real veteran guy, and Lawson as the top two starters there. But as recently as the Marshall game a couple weeks ago, they couldn't get anybody to make the right run fits or get ball carriers on the ground. I mean, Marshall just ran through them for a couple of big plays that turned the tide of that game. And I think Pry was pretty frustrated with the linebacker play. When you're giving up 200 rushing yards a game, whatever it was at that point, you can see why. Now they've switched from Jaden Keller to Alan Tisdale at the mic. Tisdale's been around for 6 years. I think his first year was the last time Virginia Tech played at Florida State.
No,
So yeah, it's been a while. He wasn't at that game. I
don't
don't
remind
think.
me about that game
Yeah,
either.
yeah. I don't think Florida State fans want to hear about that too much. But so he's been around a while. He's seen a lot of football. I think that helps him from an experience standpoint. But Lawson is the one that you look at and you go, man, that guy's got the potential that's just through the roof. I mean, he's 6'6". I know they list him as 6'4", but he's really 6'6".
Mm.
He's just all limbs and length, and you know, he can cover a lot of ground. He throws his body around. When it's a passing situation and he's in the game and he gets those arms up in the air into passing lanes, it's just trouble for other teams. I mean, he batted one in the air and picked it off against Georgia Tech last year, returned it for a touchdown from like 10 yards out or something like that. So he is still growing into the position. He came here as a receiver, switched over to linebacker last year. So this is really his second year as a linebacker. But I think the more he plays, the better and better he's going to get. You look at his physical skill set. I mean, it's sort of off the charts, the kind of stuff that he can do there.
Interesting, interesting. Let's talk about the defensive line. Switch gears. Talk about the defensive line. FSU has been struggling within the running game. The Bobby came in a perfect time for FSU to try to figure some things out because it's supposed to be the strength of the one of the strengths of the offense come into the season. Let's talk about Virginia Tech's run game and how they stack up against FSU's offensive line, trying to get on the right track.
Up until last week, it had been sort of a disappointing group. They hadn't played in the backfield very much, especially a lot of their veteran tackles that they have, Norrell Pollard, Mario Kendricks, uh, guys they have that have played a lot of football that have been around for a long time. Josh Fuga, another one. Um, it seemed like going into the Pitt game that they were tired of hearing about how poorly they were playing because they came out and they played great against Pitt. I mean, they held them to, I think with the sacks, they ended up with like 34 rushing yards or something like that. They played in the backfield. They really hounded Phil Dracovic all day. They played angry. And it was the first time I've really seen that out of them this year. Maybe a little bit against ODU in the opener, but this felt like a different kind of group that was out there. So I don't think there are too many stars among that group. If there was, Antoine Powell Ryland, he's a Florida transfer from the 757. He's been in the backfield quite a bit, a handful of sacks this year. He's probably the most star power they have there. But, last week they ran about 8 deep and everybody was contributing. You go to those Pro Football Focus grades. I think 7 of the top 8 defensive grades were defensive linemen. So it really was a standout game. I'll be curious to see how they do. Pitt's offensive line struggles this year. They've been an injured group. They have not played together very well. I think Florida State certainly a step up in the caliber of offensive line that the Hokies are going up against.
All right, so we talk about a lot of the talk has been about FSU receivers, Johnny Wilson, Keon Coleman, things like that. Virginia Tech has a history of producing some really good defensive backs, but we're this 2023 team. How does the defensive back room look for Virginia Tech now? Coming against a pretty dang good receiver room at FSU.
Yeah, that's the matchup I'm most curious to see, because when everybody's healthy, I think that's the best position group that the Hokies have. Certainly their corners. Dorian Strong is a tall, fast cornerback. Monsieur Delane really broke out the second half of his true freshman season last year. And then Derek Cantine, a Georgia Southern transfer, who's playing nickelback for them. The issue is they've had injuries at safety all over the place, and they just have not been able to get their starting safeties on the field at the same time. Nasir Peoples hasn't played since the opener. Uh, he's a little bit back. I still don't know if he's going to play in this game, but they've sort of had to shuffle things around, moving Monsieur Delane over to safety to cover for some holes there. So I think they hope that they can get their starting secondary out there, and if they do, I think this is a really interesting matchup because they haven't been challenged yet. I mean, you look at Tech's pass defense numbers. I think they lead the ACC in fewest passing yards allowed. That's for a couple of reasons. First of all, they haven't played anybody who's been able to throw the ball very well. And second of all, nobody's had to throw it because they've had so much success running the ball against the Hokies. So it's not like they're throwing it around the field all that much. But I look at Strong and I look at Delane and Cantine. I think they all have all ACC potential. I don't know if they've played to that level yet, but again, they've been mixing and matching so much because of the injuries back there. But if they get people back in the right spots, I'm really curious to see that because I think they could stack up. I don't know about well, but very interestingly against Florida State receivers in this one.
Have those safeties been practicing this week?
They have been getting back. Jalen Stroman is a starter. He was out there. Mose Phillips is a true freshman who's been stepping into first team reps while Nasir Peoples is out. Now it sounds like they're hopeful that Peoples might be able to do a little bit more. I still don't think he's going to be all the way back. So you're going to see, probably a lot of Mose Phillips at the safety spot. That's a question mark for a guy that's that young.
Let's talk about Brent Pry for a second. What's your thoughts on Brent Pry and the direction of the program a year or two and just the type of coach he is? Coming from Penn State as a defensive coordinator, first year head coach, well, not first year head coach, second year head coach, but first time head coach rather. Let's talk about Brent Pry and your opinion on the program and the direction it's heading.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think a lot of the fans changed their opinion based on last week because up before that there wasn't a lot of success. I mean, they had won 4 of their first, 17 games, something like that. Yeah, I mean, it was a pretty rough start. Not that many, 15 games. Pretty rough start for Brent Pry, going 3-8 in his first season. I mean, that's not a record you see around Virginia Tech very often. That said, I think a lot of people understood it was going to be a rebuild here, and he's come in and he is Mr. Positivity and energy and a salesman for the program. He enjoys the recruiting aspect of it. He gets out there, he's selling the program, he's shaking hands, kissing babies, doing all that stuff off the field. And that was something that was really lacking, I think, under Justin Fuente. He didn't enjoy doing that stuff. He wasn't really an extrovert very much. I think Pry is very much a departure in that sense. And that's been refreshing for a lot of Hokies fans. That said, I think there's a lot of question marks on the other side about how his on-field management works and can he be a head coach? And he admitted to a lot of mistakes last year as a first-time guy, thinking he was too involved with the defense and the play calling. He had to give that up so he could be a better head coach out there. A lot of questioning of his hires in terms of bringing in 2 32-year-old first-time coordinators on offense and defense to run the show. I think that some questionable judgment about whether he needed more experienced people in the program there. But, I think some encouraging signs lately, getting a win against Pitt. I know Pitt was awful, but, it's amazing what it's done around for the mood around this program, and people seeing drones do pretty well, and the defense show up. I think you have a vision of what it could be. They just have to work more towards that, and Pride needs to prove a little bit more as a head coach to get there.
All right, so let's go ahead and get to your score prediction and how the Hokies stack up against Florida State coming into this game in Tallahassee, Florida.
I don't know if I have a score prediction. I saw the line was what 24,
Yeah, like
something like
24
that.
last I checked.
That seems maybe a touch high. I've seen Florida State's defense give up some points. I know they sort of had that letdown in the second half against Boston College after they got up big. The way the Hokies played last week offensively, I think there's a little bit more hope there. So maybe they can stay within the spread or get a late touchdown to get within it. I don't think it's going to be a close game though. I think it could be a 2 touchdown to 3 touchdown deficit and final outcome, and that would not surprise me. But when I see a 24-point line, I go, well, the other team could score late to make that a little bit more closer than it seems like. But just from where Virginia Tech is a program right now, and the areas that they struggle in terms of offensive line and some of the run fits that they've had on defense that have been problematic, I think it's going to be a long day for the Hokies against Florida State.
Gotcha, understood. And it's been a pleasure. Really appreciate it. Let the people know where they can follow you at.
Oh, yeah, all my stuff's on techsideline.com. All my stories appear there. I tweet them out at Andy Bitter VT on Twitter. Looking forward to this game. Should be fun to get back in Tallahassee. I haven't been there since 2018. And I think before that it was like 10 years or something like that previously. So always enjoy the trip. Should be a fun time.
Yeah, should be. Yeah, most definitely. If you want any food recommendations, just let me know, man. I can definitely point you in the right direction.
I'll take any and all food recommendations. I always love those.
Gotcha. I definitely relay something to you. Some good local spots for sure. All right, and it's been a pleasure, man. Take care, and hope you have a safe trip down.
All right. Thanks for having me.
No problem. Ladies and gentlemen, Andy Bitter, good inside information, techsideline.com. I want to open up for some callers if you guys want to join the show to get your takes off in regards to this upcoming game. We're going to go ahead and open it up for that portion of the show. Anybody want to join? Let's go ahead and do it. Do we have any super chats I'm hard on doing this time? I don't think so. Gotcha. Yeah, how Andy was talking, I think it's going to be. We should have a good time in Tallahassee. Like I was telling you guys before, it's a good game coming off of. It's a good game to get on track coming off a bye week, right? You got some things you got to work on and things like that coming into, coming off that 4-game stretch. Get healthy, of course. You got 2 weeks to kind of correct some things and to have a game, against Virginia Tech, who did look better against Pitt. Don't get me wrong, and found some life on offense with Drones at quarterback. But I do think, like Andy was saying, it's just too many holes and too many deficits at that point in time. I think it's a good matchup for FSU to get things on track, try to get your running game going and things like that. All right, guys, make sure you guys like the video and subscribe to the channel. Again, like the video, please, and subscribe to the channel. Helps us with algorithm, get things going in regards to, getting this information out to other FSU fans, just like you guys that wants to, get this type of information. Go knows. And we'll go ahead and transition just a little bit. Excuse me, team. Go ahead and transit. Nah, bro. I see the comment. Nah, you got plenty of money. You're definitely not broke. We're going to go ahead and transition a little bit. This is the first time we've been back at home since, the Southern Miss game. So we haven't really been able to get any recruits on campus for the game. So we're going to go on the trail a little bit. And on the trail is provided by Realtor Jewel Paul. Jewel is a realtor stationed in Southwest Florida, but he services the entire state of Florida. If you're trying to buy your home or sell your home, Jewel can definitely help you out. And Jewel is definitely, Jewel is willing to donate 20% of the closing costs of your buy and sell back to you. So again, 20% of the closing costs can be donated back to you. And also, Jewel is an FSU fan just like you guys, so he's willing to help out the program. Any buy or sell you have through Jewel, he's willing to donate some of the proceeds to Battle's End. You can contact Jewel at www.homesfornose.com. Again, it's www.homesfornose.com. Jude will definitely take care of you, my guy. Also, like I was stating, this is a very big recruiting weekend for FSU. They got a lot of fireworks on campus. Going to start with I spoke had to put out a recruiting video previously on the show to go in depth a little bit more. If you guys do have time, go ahead and check that video out and things like that and get more in depth. But the visit list has been updated. First, I'm going to talk about official visitor LJ McCray. Not going to spend too much time on LJ. You guys know how big of a recruiting prospect he is, how much of a need he is for FSU. I've stated it multiple times. Going to be on campus for an official visit. Hasn't been on FSU campus since. Excuse me, hasn't been on FSU campus since the spring. Over the summer, there's a lot of concern because he took a lot of visits to the University of Florida and things like that. I do know there's a lot of pressure from the University of Florida to have him commit. LJ stated, "No, I'm not going to really commit. I'm going to stick to my schedule and what I stated in regards to, taking my official visits and wanting to see FSU that one last time." FSU was the first Power Five, not one of the first Power Five teams to start recruiting him. We got on him very early in the process. But again, within this FSU, within this summer, there was a lot of concerns, and I even questioned the approach. But I think it's kind of paying off for FSU to keep those visits in their back pocket because, as you guys see, this is going to be his last official visit before he commits. LJ's birthday is on October the 18th. He says he's going to commit around his birthday, a little bit shortly after on his birthday. Could be announced pretty soon, probably after the official visit. But I do think FSU is in a really good spot with LJ. So it's a big weekend for that. Got to get him on campus, and he did take an unofficial visit to Orlando, for the LSU game. As you guys see in the highlights, he plays in Daytona Beach. Uh, Real small world. His dad, Lawal McCray, is was the tight ends coach for Bethune-Cookman when I played for Bethune-Cookman. So I seen LJ pretty much grow up before my eyes and see him, turn to a 6'6", 270 pound defensive lineman with all these offers. It's kind of crazy. Do we have? I saw a guest pop in. Do we have a caller? Gotcha. If you guys do want to join the show, go right ahead. If I'm talking, don't mind me. You can definitely could join. We could get in, conversation takes off that you guys want to have. LJ is the only official visitor. Also, who's the biggest recruits coming in? We're going to go over that just a little bit. Let's go over the recruiting list. So you got four-star quarterback commit Luke Cromahawk. He's going to be on campus. Tremel Jones, four-star 2025 quarterback commit from Mandarin. Shout out to James Coleman, former FSU fullback, running back coach at Mandarin. You know, got some other prospects we got to work on within Mandarin. I trust them fully to make it happen. Tavian Swint, four-star 2025 running back who's committed to UCF. He stays in the Orlando area. He was also at the LSU FSU game. BJ Gibson, four-star receiver committed. I like his game a lot. Camden Fryer, that name should sound familiar to Knowles fans. Landon Thomas, big five-star tight end commit out of Colquitt. He's going to be on campus. A couple offensive line commitments that we have for the 2024 class. Jonathan Daniels out of Pensacola. Tim, you there?
Oh yeah, I was just wanting to know. Yeah, I want to know when is Odell going to land the recruit? I mean, I see everybody else landing commits, but Odell, like, what's going on?
You're hilarious. You know that you are truly hilarious.
I just want to
No.
know when is he going to land somebody.
Hopefully we get one this weekend with LJ. We're not gonna say this weekend, but hopefully they do a good job within this recruitment and official visit and lay out
You
the
know,
red carpet for
you
LJ.
know, I just got rid of my flip phone and I got one of these Android phones, and I've been on Twitter and I see what people are saying that Odell is asleep. So I mean, can somebody wake him up so that he can go land the recruit or something?
Yeah, hopefully we can wake Odell up and get it going. But I do think he's about to crank up a little bit.
And then the little boy that stays right behind my trailer over here in Bluntstown, he committed to Miami of all people.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. My apologies for laughing. Tammy, Bluntstown is right down the road from Tallahassee, so I agree. That's someone that we definitely
I
should
mean,
be.
he lives right behind my trailer.
Okay, so tell me what he's been talking about. If he lives right behind your trailer, is he interested in FSU?
I don't think he's interested in FSU, but Odell Sloat played him, and he let that Cuban spick trash from down in Miami come up here and sweet talk him. I mean, they don't even have a whole full 100-yard practice facility. It's crazy.
I agree. It's crazy. I think Jones is one we should have definitely let get out of our backyard. So we definitely got to tighten up and hopefully, do some good things in that recruitment. I do feel like, yeah, that's one we shouldn't have 100% let slip out of our backyard.
And another thing,
200%.
now I'm coming to this game Saturday. I sold my food stamps so I can get me some tickets to this game. And I doggone it, they better play better. The defense better play better. Because I sold my food stamps to make sure that I'm going to be there.
I think they'll play better, especially coming off the bye week against Virginia Tech. So, how much of the food stamps did you sell?
I sold $400. And these tickets, they better be in a good location. If they're not in a good location, that fullback is going to hear from me.
Well, make sure since you sold those tickets for $4, we'll make sure you pull up to the tailgate and hang out for sure with us.
I bought them from that fullback that hangs with you.
Oh, you bought it from the fullback. Oh, you bought it from
Yeah.
James. Yeah. Well, if you bought it from James, then you might have some you might have, depending on the ticket, you might have some Champions Club tickets.
I tell you what, if I'm sitting close to heaven, it's going to be me and him.
I'll make sure I relay the message to James. We'll definitely take care of
Okay,
him.
I appreciate you, giving me a platform, just got me one of these hanging drawings, and, I just wanted to, come on and speak.
I appreciate that a lot. We definitely got to get you back on again since you got an Android phone out of some
I'll gladly come on, if I'm not at work at the diner. I haven't reported to the food stamp people that I have a job. Don't tell them, okay? They'll
All right,
cut me stamps.
next time I'm in Bluntstown, can I get some pancakes on the house?
Absolutely. Come on down to Mills.
Most definitely. I cannot wait. Homemade pancakes. You heard it first.
Have a good one.
You as well. All right, ladies and gentlemen, food stamps were sold to make it to the FSU game. Food stamps were sold to make it to the FSU game. So we definitely got to have a good outing, in Tallahassee, because food stamps were sold to make it happen. I jump back into the recruiting list a little bit. Like I was talking about offensive linemen. Jonathan Daniels commit from Pensacola. He's going to be on campus. Jaden Todd, 3-star offensive lineman. I like this kid a lot. Um, Plas, Derek Plas, Miami off the 2024 offensive line commit from Miami. Another Mandarin kid, right? Like I said, pretty much anything you want from Mandarin is going to be yours. I think FSU is in a good position with Plas. He's going to be taking, I think his official visit is going to be scheduled for the Miami game. So watch out for FSU to flip this kid here, Derek Plas. 2024 offensive lineman that's committed to the Miami Hurricanes. He's going to be on campus. 5-star offensive tackle, 2025, Micah DeBose. He's going to be on campus as well. KJ Bolden, 5-star defensive back, KJ Bolden. He's going to be on campus. And speaking of KJ Bolden, he also check out the interview he dropped with Zach Bolstein. Shout out to my guy Zach, FSU reporter, recruiting insider for Nose 247. He caught up with KJ and he had an interview. I didn't know this as well, but KJ Bolden was in Clemson for the FSU game. He did make it to that game, so he's going to be on campus for the Virginia Tech game as well. So that's 3 games out of the 5 FSU has played. KJ Bolden was in the building, but he spoke about this official visit in regards to. Got my boy Reggie on real quick. Let me wrap this up. He spoke about his official visit in regards to Auburn, and LJ McCray was on campus for that Georgia game in Auburn as well. He said it's been recruiting LJ has been in his ear. He said it may be a little bit. It's going to be a tough battle down the stretch, but he did state that he was recruiting LJ over the weekend. So hopefully that momentum can carry over into this FSU game. He could get back in his ear within the home atmosphere in Doak Campbell Stadium. Reggie, what's good, bro?
And everything good, bro. Just hearing that you kind of got an inside scoop on this LJ kid. This should be a layup, bro. We got to put this on you.
You got to put on me, man. I've been trying to, throw the bone, this, that, and other. But like Tammy was saying, man, so got to be tightened up on the other side too. You can, what they say, lead the horse to water, but you can't make him drink, right?
Man, that woman, man, Nina is crazy, man. Man, something's really wrong with that girl, man.
100%. But no, yeah, I think I'm trying to get him to the tailgate actually. But no, if we just got to tighten up a little bit. If we knock this official visit out of the park and keep doing what we're supposed to do, and also it's gonna be a few more games that's gonna be played within this finalist. I know Florida's a finalist for him. I think by the time he commit, them Gators can have a couple more L's, on the table, so that can help our things as well too.
10 for everything with this. Well, you ain't got into it yet. You gonna get in the car and all that right there. You got anything on that?
Yeah, man. So with Nine Car, Miami kind of turned up the heat, man, and they're playing the cards right because they they're 4-0 or whatever, but the games they play, they're being real
Yeah,
lackluster type of
let's
football.
just keep it a buck. They ain't
They ain't playing nobody.
yeah.
Texas A&M, I guess I give them Texas A&M, but outside of that, overall, they haven't really played anybody. So the offensive numbers now, I've been saying I think the offense is going to be a lot better. Hell, it can't get no worse than last year offensively. But I do think this offensive coordinator has been pretty good in getting the receivers involved, and they've been preying on weaker opponents in the passing game, and they've been displaying that. So I think they're kind of playing the momentum card at the right point and right time. So I think they do have the momentum, but we'll see how things play. I'm not sure when this commitment timeline is, but FSU were, I'm not gonna say they was in the driver's seat, but they were recruiting this kid for a long time, and he was perceived the favorite for a long time. But Miami was working behind the scenes as well too, and they were doing their thing. But I love Nyquist. I think he's a difference maker in the slot, like a really game breaker in the slot. But I do think we got some decent recruits within the slot position. BJ Gibbs and Cannon Fryer. Those are some guys I feel like get active in the slot. The big fish I really want at the end of the day, as far as receiver, is Jeremiah Smith. That's the kid, I want the most with Jeremiah. We got a super chat real quick. Oh no, sorry, that's my bad. That was a comment by us. But yeah, that's the big kid that we've been talking about. Amongst ourselves is Jeremiah Smith. But I think Nightcall would have been icing on the cake. But hell, if he does come to Miami, I can't even count. They're putting together pretty solid receiver class. I just got to see a little bit more with better competition.
Yeah, you got to figure out who the quarterback gonna be after
Exactly. Right.
Van Dyke leave.
You got to look at that. I don't know what the hell they're selling to those receivers in regards to that because the QB room doesn't look that good at all, to be honest with you. I know they're high on the kid, the 2023 quarterback commit. I'm gonna look his name up real quick. That they got out of Milton, Florida. Uh,
Judd.
nah, it's not Judd. Judd, the 2024 quarterback. That kid is terrible. They definitely Miami fans are already giving up on him. But the kid, FSU recruited this kid a little bit last year too. We didn't offer him. We just kept, I guess, communication kind of warm a little bit until we end up getting Brock to flip from Ohio State. But the kid was his quarterback's name, Emory Williams. Yeah, the 2023 quarterback commit, Emory Williams.
Okay.
So they like his promise a little bit, but other than that, though, that quarterback room is pretty mid, and Judd isn't going to cut it at all.
Okay. Yeah, man, and man, oh Andy Bitter, man. I hope you couldn't see the comments, man. She's a few mango seasons past his time. Uh, he need to cut that off. But yeah, he was a real homer, man. Real homer. This should definitely be a good warm up game for us. We need redemption from the Willie game.
Oh yeah,
Willie still owe me a pair of Air Max for that game. I ain't forgot that. Um, but yeah, bro, I ain't want too much of that, man. Just wanted to tap in real quick.
where you at,
Proud of
man?
you,
Where you at right now?
man. I'm finally home, bro. I'm home. I'm here with
Oh,
the
you in Jack?
family,
Okay,
man. I'm
okay,
back in.
good.
I'm back in Florida. I ain't gonna be able to make it down. Jit
Nah,
got a
man,
soccer game and all
yeah,
that stuff
you
there,
just
but
got there, bro. Do your thing, man. Do your thing.
Miami. Miami. We pulling up though for sure.
Oh yeah, man. We go hang real good that weekend. I promise you.
Very good. Very good.
All right, my brother.
All right, Bridget.
My guy Reggie. We're gonna jump into the rest of the list real quick. Like I said, we do have KJ Bolden. To go along with KJ Bolden, we got my boy Bo. He gonna be in the building Miami game as well. Charles Lester, 5-star defensive back commit. He's also going to be in the building. So to have Charles on campus as well with KJ, the two, bell cows for your defense recruiting class is going to be pretty good. Jalen Wiggins, this is an interesting one, a big time one. 4-star defensive lineman Jalen Wiggins. This is important to me because he's a local Tallahassee kid from Rickers High School, top 100 defensive lineman. FSU, we got to keep our hometown kids home, right? So Jalen Wiggins is the perfect guy to kind of start that and get that relationship going. He's a 2025 guy. So I do want to end up seeing him within this class. He's going to be on campus for the Virginia Tech game as well. 5-star defensive end Zion Grady. He's going to be back on campus. Uh, I know how FSU fans feel about defensive line recruiting and things like that, but this kid has been on campus multiple times. During the spring, he camped also during the summer. So to have him back on campus, just keep recruiting, keep doing your thing. That's all you can do is keep building that relationship. The more a kid pops up on campus, the better. And this kid keeps popping up on campus. So we'll see how things play out with his recruitment. 2025 got it, but to keep getting on campus this early and early within this recruitment only helps FSU in this regard. 4-star defensive back Devin Williams will be on campus, and also Jake, a 3-star kicker, the number one kicker in the country, Jake Weinberg, Florida State commit. He will be on campus as well for the Virginia Tech game. So like I said, it's a lot of fireworks, a lot of big. It's going to be a dope atmosphere in Doak Stadium. It's a sold out event, so I want the crowd to come out there and be loud and do what Doak Campbell typically does, because we're going to have a lot of recruits on campus. So it's going to be a showcase for FSU on the field and also an atmosphere aspect as well. So all you guys that's listening and watching him, and then you put them up to FSU for the game, and make sure you do your part a little bit. But yeah, so we do have a big recruiting weekend. So it's good to get, the rest of the entire month of October, we got home games. So I'm pretty sure FSU is going to be, using this to get kids on campus. And you should see official visits starting to take off as well. There's one more defensive lineman I want to talk about. My recruiting episode. Again, if you guys haven't checked it out, check out that recruiting episode that I recently dropped. It's a defensive line out of Maryland that I spoke on, Lugard Idopai. And again, if I'm mispronouncing that, please forgive me. I spoke about him scheduling an official visit to FSU. That was in the works. They haven't. They was just working on the scheduling part of it, but it has been worked out. He's going to be on campus in December for an official visit. So I like this kid a lot. 6'6", 230-pound frame, very athletic, plays receiver as well. So I think this kid, if coached right, and you get him within the FSU strength program, and he gets built by storms, he could easily carry 250 at 6'6". So I think he'll be a menace and keep his athleticism right, keep his flexibility, keep his bend. So I think this is a kid that you could really build some stuff on. Like I said, his recruitment has really taken off within the last couple weeks, the last month due to his senior film. Texas A&M has offered, Michigan State has offered, Pittsburgh has offered, Maryland, a couple others, Minnesota. So again, he's taken. I think he has 2 official visits scheduled to this point, Minnesota and FSU. So like I said, he's real interested within the nose. Shout out to Coach Pap. He's doing a good job recruiting him. Hopefully we could close on this kid. I think this could be a diamond in the rough. I mean, like I said, he plays. Look at him chasing. Look at the highlights there. It shows how athletic he is off the edge and the type of, being. He's physical too. Plays receiver as well. This highlight here, he's at receiver. Check him out. Going up top. Kid could play some football, man. So I think that could be something we could build on. 6'6" frame. Here's a play right here where run the fade route. Nice route the ball too. Nice move off the line as well. So you see the type of athlete he is. That last play jumped out to me when I was watching his total. I think FSU could build some things with him. 6'6", 225 pounds. Get in the program, red shirt, get some coaching. Next thing you know, you're looking at 6'6", maybe 260, and still explosive off the edge. If you got any more callers that want to join the show, go ahead and join. But again, make sure you guys like this video and subscribe to the channel. Yeah, sorry, Lugard, Idokapai, he's a defensive end. He'll be a pass rusher for FSU. Big position of premium that we definitely need. Again, make sure you guys like this video, subscribe to the channel. We're going ahead to close things out within the show. Again, like this video, subscribe to the channel. I may drop another recruiting video pretty sure after this FSU. We'll talk about it on Sunday. Once we go live again on Sunday, talk about the recap of the Virginia Tech game and then the reaction of the recruits. Again, like this video, subscribe to the channel. CJ Wilson with Doak. Appreciate you guys joining.